This
the Allendale.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'll start again. Good evening, everyone. It is now 7:30. This is the September 24th, 2020 work session of the Allendale Mayor and Council. We welcome everyone who's joining us either in person or via video and teleconference. We ask that you please mute your devices at this time so as not to distract from the business of the meeting. There will be several opportunities for the public to be heard tonight, and we will advise you at the appropriate times. The Open Public Meeting Act announcement. Michelle, if you could please read that.
Sure. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger. Notice of this meeting by the September 18th, 2020 Sunshine Notice was sent to the record, Ridgewood News, Star Ledger, and has been posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and borough website.
Great, thank you very much. Michelle, please conduct the roll call.
Councilwoman Homan?
Here.
Councilman O'Connell?
Here.
Councilman O'Toole?
Here.
Councilman Sasso?
Here.
Councilman Strouch?
Jim?
Can't hear
Jim?
you.
Yeah, Jim, it shows green like we can hear you, but we couldn't hear you. So try the audio again. Jim, are you here? Jim's having problem, but he's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jim,
Give
your
thumbs
audio,
up motions.
your audio is not coming through.
Councilwoman Wilsinski
Here.
and Mayor Bernstein.
Here, thank you very much. Okay, so for those of you that have been here before, this is the public comment. This is the first of 3 opportunities tonight for the public to comment. Anyone from the public who wishes to speak, please let me know. State your name and address. For the record, you'll have 5 minutes. So public comment during the work session. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard? Not seeing any, we'll close it to the public. First on the agenda for the work session, Lissa, I'm going to invite you to come forward. She's going to speak about the corrective action plan for the report of the audit for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2019. I want to thank you, Deborah Lurch, Paul Lurch of Lurch, Vinci and Higgins, for all of your collective efforts on the audit, and Lissa especially for putting together the corrective action plan. So with that preface, it's all yours.
Thanks.
Okay, we're just going to get a mic in front of Lissa so she can speak.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
loud and clear.
Okay. So this year, as you know, we had new auditors, Lurch, Vinci and Higgins. Paul Lurch and Deb Lurch were the partners that worked on our account. It was a little bit more involved this year because they needed to familiarize themselves with our books, our accounts, our funds, our policies and procedures. And then COVID stepped in and that kind of extended the whole process, kind of threw a wrench in it. But we eventually got it done. The state did extend the deadline to September 30th, so we'll get it in just in time. The exit interview that I had with Paul, there were many comments. Most of them just needed clarification and explanation. There were a few procedural changes that they wanted us to make, which I've already instituted. And then bottom line, there were 2 comments, recommendations for the whole audit, encompassing both water and current fund. The first one, and I don't know if everybody has it in front of them, I'll read it. Audit of subsequent disbursements in both the current fund and the water utility operating fund revealed that the borough did not encumber certain 2019 monthly operating expenses at December 31st in the amounts of $108,000 and $146,000 respectively. Of course, they recommend that all operating expenses at year end, both the current and the water utility, be encumbered. So I've done that already, and we will do that. Essentially what that is they want the large items that are going to be paid with the prior year's funds to be encumbered and in the system, like accounts payable.
Right.
Previous auditors didn't require that, so we didn't really do that. But we will do that going forward. We'll estimate whatever the bills would be. And we're talking the larger things like for the water department, the maintenance fees and the bulk water. And for the current fund, we're talking about the larger utility bills. It's mainly just the utility bills and any other, maybe some insurance bills that we know that are going to be coming due in January.
And Liz, I think the main thing that should be stressed there is that's really a ledger or accounting function that's being addressed that has nothing to do with dollars and cents in any fashion.
Correct. Very good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Ray.
And also, Lisa, I think the transition has gone very, very well with our new accounting firm. How do you feel about that?
Sure. Yes. There were some roadblocks or detours, I should say. And, you know, it's to be expected because there's a new auditor and there was COVID. So all in all, I think it went fairly well. It's a lot of, you know, us getting used to them getting used to our way of doing things. So I think it'll be okay. The second finding, the audit revealed that the borough has 3 authorized check signatures in accordance with the statute. However, they only require 2 out of the 3 authorized signatures on all checks issued. The recommendation is all checks issued by the borough contain 3 authorized check signatures in accordance with the statute. My bad. I didn't know that the statute required 3. The Borough of Allendale in its code and its ordinances have always required 2, and we always did the 2. But we have made the adjustments already, and we will have 3 signatures on all checks going forward.
Right, and on the stack of checks that I signed today, there were 3. Right, it's crowded down there, but
Yeah.
we got them in. Right.
And when we order new checks, we'll adjust that so that
Right.
there's a little bit more room,
Good.
perhaps. So that was it. I was actually quite pleased with the way it went, and you know, there's nothing of, I feel nothing really like to your
Nothing
comment.
substantive.
Right,
No,
that's
thank
right.
you. That was the word I was looking for.
Right. Lisa, thank you.
You're
again,
welcome.
And thank you for all your guidance.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome, Amy.
Next, we will move to the administration portion of the work session. We will do the agenda review for the minutes. There are some minutes in front of you. Minutes of August 13th, August 27th, and September 10th, work and regular session are all listed for approval. Everyone was in attendance and is eligible to vote. The minutes of the August 27th work session, September 10th work session, and September 10th regular session are going to be, we're going to vote to approve as amended. I think Councilwoman Holman had some minor changes and I had some minor changes, nothing substantive, but when we come to the regular session, we will vote to approve them as amended. Adoption of ordinances. We have a second reading and public hearing tonight for 20-14, which is the signing of the checks, which Alyssa spoke to. This ordinance amends our bylaws to require 3 signatures on borough issued checks in compliance with New Jersey state statutes. And Alyssa has already spoken to that. Ordinance 20-15. This ordinance amends Chapter 53 of the Code of the Borough of Allendale entitled Officers and Employees to add the title of Director of Communications and fix the salary range for this position for the year 2020. On the consent agenda, we have 15 resolutions listed for approval. The bill list, I've reviewed it. Matt and Amy?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. 20-211, authorized refunds per lease agreement. Years ago, the borough entered into lease agreements where certain property owners, when improvements were made at Hillside and West Crescent Avenue intersection. And this resolution approves refunds per those agreements. 20-212 and 20-213 can be read together in conjunction. These resolutions certify that the governing body has reviewed the 2019 audit that Lisa spoke of and approves of its corrective action plan that our CFO discussed during her presentation. So Lisa, I don't imagine you have anything more to add to that.
No.
Okay, thank you. 20-214, approve the contract for the 2 SLEO officers. I think that was the last meeting where we swore them in, right?
Yes.
This resolution formally approves the written agreement between the Board of Ed and the borough to have 2 SLEOs at Northern Highlands for the 2020 and 2021 school year. Thank you to the Public Safety Committee for the work on this. And as we discussed at the previous meetings, the school district will be reimbursing the borough for all related and associated costs with that. Next is 20-215 to improve temporary waiver of limitations on number of garage sale licenses. There is a large online estate sale being conducted at 79 East Crescent Avenue. With social distancing requirements in place during these times, the borough feels it's best to waive the license limitation and grant 2 additional garage sale licenses at this address. This will allow for proper social distancing and maintain quality of life in the neighborhood. They'll also be complying with the traffic safety requirements of the Allendale Police Department. Next on the agenda, 20-216, authorize a refund for water overpayment. As the title states, the governing body will be authorizing a refund of overpayment on a water account. 20-217, authorize amendment to number of required signatories for withdrawal of borough funds. This resolution complements ordinance 20-14 and satisfies an action item in the audit's corrective action plan. 20-218, authorize Bergen County CARES Act municipality reimbursement agreement. I've spoken of this in the past. Bergen County has established a reimbursement program for COVID-related expenses utilizing CARES Act federal funds. This resolution authorizes us to enter into an agreement to be eligible to receive these funds. 20-19, ratify proposed Bergen County Municipal Joint JIF Fund bylaw amendment. We as a borough, we participate in the Bergen County Municipal JIF Fund. They have proposed amendments to their bylaws to put extra protections for municipalities in the event of a merger or sale of the JIF Fund. And this resolution expresses the governing body support for these changes. Next, 20-220, award a contract OnQ Technologies. There have been long-standing drainage issues in the vicinity of Meadow Lane. Tonight, the governing body will be awarding a contract to OnQ Technologies to address these issues by cleaning the draining feature within the borough's easement, which will bring relief to the affected residents. 20-21, authorize 2020 and 2021 ABC liquor license renewals for Acme Markets. This resolution renews the pocket status of Acme's plenary retail distribution license, which expires on September 30th. 20-22, authorize solicitation of proposals, hot mix asphalt curb. The borough is in need of installing some curbing, and this resolution authorizes us to solicit proposals. 20-223, authorize advertisement and receipt of bids for solid waste collection and disposal. Our current garbage contract expires April of next year, April of 2021, and this resolution authorizes us to start the bidding process. So Ray, I know you're going to be working to finalize the specs.
Correct.
Okay. And And then what's the process from there?
The specs will be prepared, the RFQ will go out, we'll receive proposals and
Okay,
ultimately award a contract.
good.
We're doing this so far in advance because you have to have the bid notice out for a minimum of 60 days.
Okay,
We're just trying to,
Work ahead.
look
great.
ahead.
Okay, good.
And plan
Right.
for budget.
And
So
so,
Ray, I'd like to be, I'd like to work with you on that a little bit and be in touch as you move forward with that.
Sounds good.
Actually myself too, just from a recycling perspective to understand, because I think the specs have to include recycling, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, because I just actually, in my update, I have a little update on just the bag stuff, but also I just feel like recycling's changing so much and Amy spent a lot of time, so. think it's
Major
important.
legislative change today, right?
Yes, exactly. I was
Very
gonna
much
mention
so.
that.
We just want to make sure that we have ourselves and the borough protected and that we could have that maybe as like a ancillary bid and we're not spending money that's going to be wasted for the borough.
okay. 20-224, appoint Director of Communications, John Gill. The governing body is amending Mr. Gill's title to Director of Communications. He'll be working with the administration out of the clerk's office. 7:46, so I have some time for some reports. So Councilman O'Connell, are you prepared to give your report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Great, thank you.
At our law and public safety meeting, we had discussed Halloween and about closing Dale and putting up the lights, and we decided to table that to see what new restrictions with the COVID pop up. So we're going to table that till our October meeting, where we'll still have plenty of time to set something up if we decide to go that way. The calls that came into the headquarters was 12,006 to date. 911 calls was 1,150. Fire department calls were 133, and AVAC calls were 293. That's all I have for tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ed. And I know I've received some inquiries, and I spoke to our attorney today about Halloween. So I know that the public, we're waiting. We were speaking about what Governor Murphy had said so far, but we'll be speaking. We'll be conferring. We'll also discuss, speak with OEM. I reached out to the schools, and we'll provide as much guidance as we can to the borough on Halloween.
Absolutely, and I think we'll get something once we decide what's going on and what the rules are and what we're doing. I think we'll have that posted on our website so people know if it's closed, if it's open, where the lights will be, and things along those lines.
Great, thank you for that. Thank you for
And
your
the
work.
holiday observers are also kind of planning their parade and doing contingencies for the Halloween poster painting contest as well as their parade. So that's forthcoming as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-day poster competition type thing. They have it spread out, so they're moving forward with it as safely as can be.
Great, thank you. Councilman Sasso, would you like to give your report?
Thank you. The Land Use Committee has not met since our last meeting, so I don't have a lot to report tonight. I did send out an email. I'm looking for the committee's input on some suggestions I made to our short-term rental ordinance. So anybody wants to weigh in on that, that'd be great. I have to schedule our next meeting, by the way, which will be coming up. And just a question on 20-215. Can somebody give me some background on the waiver?
So, sure, Steve and Ray and I, Ray, Michelle and I discussed that at 6:30. Ray, that's the garage sale licenses.
Yeah, it did. Apparently, the homeowners are vacating the premises and had engaged an auction house to conduct on-site auctions. Apparently also advertised online items that were available. And there was some concerns about traffic and there were concerns about the ordinance as drafted, which for whatever reason in the historic past seems to exclude from the permitting process auctions. Garage sales are covered by it, and if I recall correctly, I think the caption of the ordinance is actually garage sales. So the auctioneer took the position that they were exempt from our ordinance, and whatever the traffic situation was, and whatever the license requirements were, and whatever the limitation on number of days were contained in the ordinance, they took the position that they were exempt. Some discussion ensued back and forth with the borough through my office and also with the police department through the chief. And the workout was what is contained in the resolution, which was to allow them 2 more days to conduct the auction, which, as the mayor referenced in his report or in his agenda review, also addressed some of the concerns about COVID, having too many people on site. And also the chief indicated that the discussion satisfied him as to the neighborhood parking issues. So in essence, the resolution is the product of some negotiation about a situation which I think brought on a neighborhood complaint in the first instance.
Okay, thank you for that.
Great. And Steve, did you have anything else left in your report, or you're all done there?
No, I'm done. Thanks.
Okay, great, thank you. Councilwoman Homan?
Okay. I don't know if we'll get through my whole report, but let's give a shot.
If you, Liz,
Yeah.
it's 7:52. If you want, I did that to you the last time you were in the middle of it. So you want me to come back to you during the regular session?
I don't mind. So water news, the good news is that regular water usage is back in effect, and Allendale's regular water usage schedule is a conservation schedule, and it is currently called Phase 1 water restrictions, but really the restrictions are just from a conservation standpoint, in that lawn and garden watering with automatic and hose supplied sprinklers is limited to 3 days based upon even houses, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, odd houses, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And the big thing is no watering on Mondays. So, because that's a recharge day. So handheld hose and watering and sprinkling is always permitted. Feel free to wash your cars, power wash your decks and home. And if it's hot, yes, kids can do a slip and slide too. So that's good news that we're back in Phase 1. And thank you to community members who attended the virtual water community meeting this past week. For those who missed it and would like to watch it, because water is super important and it's such a big resource that we need to protect, it's available on the Allendale Borough website under the water department. So you have to go to departments and then go down to water. And then it's the first line when you get into the water department. There's a link to the presentation, which was about 30 minutes. But I think there's a lot of good information that we can build on. I am planning on having a second virtual water meeting, no date yet, to provide additional insight into the water quality testing and the emerging contaminants. And during this meeting, I plan to provide insight again into water quality testing and also into the PFAS feasibility study that we conducted here in Allendale. Myself and Steve Sasso also have a direct meeting with NJDEP on Wednesday evening. I'm not sure, Ari, if you're able to attend, but it's a great opportunity to be able to talk to the NJDEP, because they obviously are always looking to ensure that they have the most effective quality testing programs in place, and New Jersey is one of the most stringent in the country. Certainly, more stringent than the EPA is. I'm also scheduled to attend a virtual program with the NJ Drinking Water Quality Institute on Wednesday morning, September the 30th. So that's again giving us new updates into 2021 and beyond. So it's exciting.
And
On-
Liz,
Yes.
the meeting that you discussed with DEP, that's the one with Natalie Ashwood at 4
Yeah,
o'clock.
4 o'clock on the 30th.
Okay, yep, I have it on my calendar.
Great. Okay, let's see, just kind of changing things a little bit. Many of you may remember that in early 2020, our team began the process to implement a plastic bag ban in Allendale. And our merchants, as you know, we'd spoken to them, seemed amicable to go along with this ban. And we were kind of working around the semantics, started throwing around different wording. Thank you to Ray and his group for, helping us with that. And then, with the onset of COVID, things needed to be put on the back burner. And yesterday, the New Jersey Assembly and Senate passed a bill. Ray, make sure I get all my terms correct. They passed a bill that on yesterday, that would enact several restrictions on everyday products in an effort to curb plastic pollution. It now goes to Governor Murphy, who, he still has to sign it, and we'll have to see whether or not that goes, he goes through with that. The bill has 3 major components. It bans film plastic bags, like those at grocery stores, regardless of the thickness. It also bans paper bags at supermarkets with over 2,500 square feet. So I'm not sure how big the the Acme is, but anyway. And it's in an effort to get shoppers to bring their own bags. So it also bans polystyrene, clamshell food containers, and other products like plates, cups, and food trays. And also plastic straws would only be available upon request. So my thoughts were, and I apologize to the council that I haven't talked to everybody about this, Amy and I, because we were talking on another subject, and Steve and I sort of communicated because Steve had sent me an article, is that my thoughts were that Allendale, we should wait and see what the state decides to do. And should the state do nothing, then I would like to press forward with the single-use plastic bag ban as we described in the draft ordinances. So that's kind of my thought on that. I'd love anybody's feedback. And then on another recycling note, as Amy and I talked about earlier, I cannot encourage people enough to compost. You can get the green machine. It's in the newsletter that we sent out in August. It has a link to where you can call the county. It's $60 and it saves a lot of garbage, and it's cool. You create your own soil. And then we also are trying to better understand exactly what is being recycled and how. So for now, I'm going to leave you with 3 thoughts. When in doubt, throw it out, because incorrect and dirty recycling can spoil a whole container of recycling. Number 2, recyclables have to be clean. So make sure you rinse out your pasta sauce jars, your plastic orange juice containers, and your soup cans. And then number 3, and most importantly, is reduce. Use recyclable water containers and try to stop the use of plastics. And it's 7:58, so I'm good, right?
Yeah, thank you so much, Liz. Great report as always, very thorough.
Mayor, if you wouldn't mind, I just want to mention something based on the question that Councilman Sasso posed.
Yes.
It may be an appropriate area for that land use committee to look at the ordinance that led to the resolution that we were talking about. I wasn't able to discern on a historic basis why auctions were exempted from the purview of the ordinance.
Right.
Whether that still makes sense and whether that is something the borough wants to maintain or not maintain,
Sure.
particularly since, there is online technology where auctions can be handled remotely. It may be something that Councilman Sasso wants to have the land use committee look at.
Great. So Steve.
Yeah.
I will definitely, thank you, Ray. I will definitely add it to the agenda. I don't think we exempted it as much as that it was just overlooked, maybe.
It could be. It could be. I mean, it was almost as though the last few words of the entire ordinance just, accepted auctions.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a couple of years since we did that, although it's still fairly recent in my mind, but we can certainly take a look at it. I mean, we addressed the issue of garage sales because there were a handful of properties in town that were having like 6 garage sales a year and turning it into a business, and it was getting a little crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
People have their permanent signs that they used to put out.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of some now, but it's not important. But there were some residents, they're like, 6, 7 times a year, Saturdays and Sundays, I'm hearing car doors slamming at 7 a.m. and all kinds of people coming from all over. And they're in my neighbor's driveway, 20 feet away from my house, and it's kind of crazy. So we thought no reasonable person needed to have more than 3 garage sales a year. I mean, I haven't had 3 in 15 years, but anyway, that was the purpose of it. And like many of these ordinances, it addresses 1 to 2% of properties, because the remainder it's really not necessary. So that's it. So we'll take a look at it. Thank you, Ray.
Great, thank you. So we are now at 8:01. I would request a motion to adjourn the work session.
So moved.
Thank you, Matt.
O'Connell.
Ed O'Connell for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you very
Aye.
much. That concludes the work session. It is now 8:01 p.m. This is the September 24th, 2020 regular session of the Allendale Mayor and Council. Welcome to everyone who's joining us via video and telephone and teleconference. Again, the same rules apply. Please mute your device so as not to distract from the business of the meeting. There are 2 opportunities during this meeting for the public to speak, and we will advise you at the appropriate times. Michelle, please read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement.
Sure. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger. Notice of this meeting by the September 18th, 2020 Sunshine Notice was sent to the record, Ridgewood News and Star Ledger, and has been posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and borough website.
Great, thank you very much for that. All please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which
For which
it
it stands, one nation,
stands,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is it a little of that Lou Gehrig? Is it the feedback? Okay. Michelle, please conduct the roll call.
Sure. Councilwoman Homan,
Yes, here.
Councilman O'Connell,
Here.
Councilman O'Toole,
Here.
Councilman Sasso,
Here.
Councilman Strouch.
Jim, Jim is here.
Yes.
He's giving us the international sign for I'm here.
Councilwoman Wilsinski
Here.
and Mayor Bernstein.
Here, thank you. Approval of the minutes. So I'm going to request a motion to approve the following minutes. August 13th, work in regular session. August 27th, work in regular session. August 10th, work in regular session. And remember, as discussed during the work session, August 27th work session, September 10th work session, and September 10th regular session, we are approving as amended. So we would request a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Amy. Second.
Holman.
Thank you, Liz. Michelle, please conduct a roll call.
Councilwoman Homan,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Sasso,
Yes.
Councilman Strouch,
Yes. Jim says yes.
and Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Public comment on agenda items only. So I will open the floor to the public for agenda items. Hi, Kristen. I can see you motioning. So please name and address for the record, and then the floor is yours.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's Kristen Sarnas, 74 Heights Road. I just wanted a little clarification on 20-222. You mentioned it very quickly, and I just didn't understand what it was. It was related to a curbing contract. I think you're soliciting for a new contractor. Is that for the streetscaping project downtown, or is that residential or something completely different?
So that's the hot mix asphalt curb.
If I may,
Yeah, please, Michelle, you speak to that.
it
And
is
then Melissa,
not
you-
part of the streetscape project.
Right.
Our engineer has identified some areas in town that are in need of curbing. I don't have the list of streets, but there are some.
Okay. Melissa, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that? Okay. Kristen, were you able to hear Michelle who spoke to that? So it's not part of a streetscape.
Yes, thank you. It's just like sort of residential or wherever we need some extra curbs or there's broken curbs, we're going to fix it up.
Right. Those that were identified by our engineer.
Okay, thank you.
I think for a general.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
As needed.
Good.
Walter.
Walter Widmer, so
Walter,
great.
we see you.
Good evening. Liz, I want to applaud you for what you're doing in that plastic business. Thank you very much for pushing that. We've got to have people, being made conscious of the fact that plastics are a nuisance to society.
Yeah, agreed.
Keep up the fight. Thank you.
Great. And
Thank
Walter, it is so great to see you. Just state your name and your address for the record so it can go in.
Walter Widmer, 38 Hamilton.
Great. Thank you. You look great, and it's so great to see you here tonight.
That's debatable.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard on agenda items only? Not seeing anyone. We will move through, close the meeting to the public for that portion. Ordinance for second reading and public hearing, 20-14 and 20-15. Michelle, please read the title of the ordinances. And then after the titles are read, we will open the floor for public comments.
Sure. The following ordinances published herewith were first read by title only on September 10th, 2020, and posted on the bulletin board of the lobby of the municipal building and borough website. Ordinance 20-14, an ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise Article 7, Appendix A 276-36 of the bylaws of the Borough Council of the Borough of Allendale entitled Signing of Checks. And ordinance 20-15, an ordinance to amend Chapter 53 of the Code of the Borough of Allendale, officers and employees, to fix the salaries, wages, and compensation of the officers and employees of the Borough of Allendale for the year 2020.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. Open the floor to the public for public comment on those two ordinances. Not seeing anyone or hearing anyone, I would request a council member to make a motion to move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 20-14 and ordinance 20-15. Notice of same shall be published according to the law. Request a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Amy. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Michelle, please conduct a roll call.
Councilwoman Homan,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Sasso,
Yes.
Councilman Strouch,
He's having technical difficulties.
I think we can move on.
Yeah, okay.
Councilwoman Wilsinski,
Yes.
Great. Moving through the agenda, any unfinished business? Any new business? Councilman O'Toole, I think you have new business for us?
Yes, I do. We have an update to our mayor and council technology reimbursement policy that I'd just like to read for you.
Thank you.
In order for the municipality to provide our community with the highest quality services at the lowest possible cost, this administration will continue to make the safe, secure, and efficient use of technology a high priority. Now more than ever, technology is not only an integral part of doing business, it has often become the only way to do so effectively and safely. To meet and exceed our goals, the governing body will encourage each of its members to purchase the necessary technology equipment and software to perform their duties. The governing body will encourage each member to choose the technology components that they are most comfortable with. To reduce the financial burden, the governing body believes it is reasonable that the borough support each member by sharing the cost of the technology necessary to satisfy the requirements of their role. As such, the council will establish a policy to reimburse the mayor up to $2,000 and each council member up to $1,500 for related purchases during their respective elected term. Each member of the governing body will provide receipts for whatever technology they deem necessary. The items must be purchased during their term and not previously. So this is just updating what we already have and increasing the amounts.
Right. Yeah, and technology certainly now more than ever, everyone we're not meeting face to face. We're
Yep.
meeting via computer, laptop, everything. So
Correct.
Thank you for that. Continuing with our committee reports, Councilwoman Wazinski. Amy, if you're ready.
Sure. Okay, 220, 230. We had a meeting with Hampshire this past week to work through the financial agreement, which is the pilot for the warehouse portion. We are still working through that. This is a series of several meetings. Hopefully we'll have maybe just one or two more. After this portion, then we're going to be working on the financial agreement for the residential portion of it. We are pretty much done with the remediation today. Now the next step is to send out samples and wait for the results. And then once we get the results back from the lab, we will be able to finish up with the remediation. And that should be in the next 2 weeks. And after that, we can move towards the closing. Next Tuesday, we are meeting at the site to review the property lines and the cap remediation, the cap for the remediation with Hampshire. We also actually just recently saw the initial plan from the architects. Tomorrow, we will be meeting to review that as well as the budget numbers and kind of see where we are to see if we need to tweak that plan. After that meeting, we will move forward to have a meeting with the Vision Committee. We still are on target to have the plans to come before the Land Use Board for the October 21st meeting. Crestwood Lake, as you know, we ended on a great high note. We are setting up a Crestwood Lake post meeting with our lake director and Ron and our committee, hopefully in the next week. We are working on our new playgrounds. We are expected to have that done by the end of this year. We have drawings for new playground equipment, and we will be meeting on that next week as well. The streetscape project. So as we've been talking about, we are in phase 1 of our streetscape project. So we started the removal of all the sidewalks and the trees. The sidewalks were not in good shape. I know some people think they were in good shape, but they were actually in terrible shape. When I first came on the council, when Vince Barra actually was mayor, we tried to look to see if we could clean them up because they were actually very dirty. There was gum all over them, and they were disintegrated to the point where if you even power washed them, they would be completely ruined, and they were not in any type of shape to be repaired. So we kind of kept them as they were. We had the opportunity from the DOT to have grants, and these grants were specifically for streetscape. So we couldn't take this money and use it for any other sidewalks in town. It was a grant that was offered by the DOT specifically for streetscapes. If we didn't go for this grant, other towns would. We, after having our street, last time we had it done, I think it was like 2003, 2004, our trees were outgrowing it, our pavers were in disrepair. So we went for the grants and we received $662,000 to fix the sidewalks and to get new light posts and to have new trees. So in order to do that, I know people are upset when we always remove trees. However, the trees that were there are in very, very bad shape. They're overgrown for the space. So we do need to remove them. They cannot be transplanted. Street trees in general are only meant to last 10 to 15 years. Ours are over 15 years. So we will be putting new trees in. We actually will be putting in more trees that are there now. And we will have beautiful pavers. In fact, Liz Homan and I went yesterday to look at the papers again to make sure that they had the right ones. I went again today. They're going to be gorgeous. We have new lights that are going to be going in, and it'll be a beautiful upgrade to our downtown. With the grant, unfortunately, we realized the timing is not great. We were actually supposed to start, I think like 8 weeks ago with COVID, and with our downtown closing, we pushed it off as long as we can, but there is a limitation with these grants. And if you don't get them started at a certain time, you will lose them. So we are moving forward. We do have our merchants in mind. We have our downtown people that want to work, walk there in mind. So we are going to try to do it as fast as we can. But I am hopeful that when everything is done, that everybody will be really happy with this project.
Amy, do you want to mention that there is going to be borough communication too coming out about it, right?
Yes, thank you. So we actually just finalized some communication today. So that will be going out tomorrow on Constant Contact, and then subsequent communication will be going out. So we have a big communication piece going out. We did plan on having that out a little bit earlier with all the voting information and everything like that. We got to it a little bit later than we wanted to, but it will be going out today. And then as we go forward, we're going to be having just more subsequent communication to keep everybody, as well as the merchants, up to date on everything that's happening. As I mentioned at the past meetings, we're starting at Caldwell Banker, and the first phase is going to be going on that side of the street up until Maple Avenue. Did I forget anything else, Liz?
No, I just am like smiling because I'm thinking, okay, wrapping up Crestwood, working with 220, 230, moving on to the next game. So
I think I need a hard hat is what I really need. I need a hard hat.
yeah, and I just encourage residents to be patient and to understand that obviously, and we all want the best for Allendale, during this very challenging time of COVID and in the years ahead. So let's try to, work together. If there's questions, email them into the borough, and and they'll be answered as best as possible. But good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, I wanted to mention, Liz, the water meeting that you did, I thought was great. I mean, I've been on this council for quite a long time, and I've never actually been on the water committee, and I learned so much from that. So I really encourage residents to hop on to the next subsequent meetings. Water is so important, and there is a lot to learn, and we have some big decisions to make in Allendale. So that was very enlightening, and I hope everybody continues to keep themselves updated, because who knows what decisions we're going to have to make in the future, and we may be calling out to residents to see really where the pulse is at and what residents really feel about their water, and how important it is to them as we move forward with these big decisions. Yeah. On a somber note, I just wanted to mention we lost one of Allendale's great residents, Bob Pash. Bob Pash I've worked with for many, many years on rec, and he was on the Allendale Rec Commission for, gosh, I was on it for 10 years. He had to be at least for 15 years, and he was also the president of rec. Not only that, he was involved in so many other aspects of town. I know he was involved in Highlands too as he moved on. So he was one of the great volunteers of Allendale. He had a 20-year fight with cancer, but his wife, and I had the pleasure of working with her, was also a councilwoman in Allendale. So the borough sends our condolences to the Pash family in this difficult time for them. And then lastly, the recycling. The recycling is, as Liz explained, just an ongoing challenge going forward. So we plan on getting to the bottom of it and finding out what best we can do. Allendale has always been promoting recycling and sustainability, and I think that has got to be the message going forward, that we have to be sustainable. We have to stop using plastics. We have to start using containers, and we will do our best to educate the residents on these ongoing changes as we move forward. So I think that's it for me. Thank you. Thank you.
So although I just want to go back to the consent agenda, because although I did go through it in the work session, we didn't vote on it in the regular session. So I just want to go back, since we didn't do that. I'm going to request a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Matt. Second?
Homan.
Second.
Thank you, Liz. Michelle, please conduct a roll call.
Councilwoman Homan,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Sasso,
Yes.
Councilman Strouch. Okay.
Jim?
Um,
Yes.
Oh my
It's like Bob Dylan in
Thank you.
1968.
Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So now we'll go back to subterranean homesick blues. Right, that's what it was. That was the reference. Work session reports. Councilman O'Toole.
Yep, I really don't have very much this evening. We were supposed to have a committee meeting this evening, but due to various reasons, we had to reschedule until next week. I was gonna have plenty to report on since we had a chock full agenda, but I'm gonna table that until the next meeting.
Okay.
So,
I understand.
Matt, I don't know if it's appropriate that I make a comment, but I do thank you for the, kind of the electronic support. I mean, I've been on the council for 7 years and it is really helpful because it does cost a lot of money to keep things up to date and working. And I think it's a help.
And it bogs down our computers too, our home computers, so.
and technology is not cheap.
Oh, so good. Okay, thank you for that. Councilman Strouch, are you in a position where you can give your report? No report tonight. Jim, thank you. I'm sure, although you have no report, I'm sure you've been working on it, and thank you for everything that you've been doing in your capacity. I will now go to the mayor's report. COVID-19, it's still there, and we know that there has been resurgences in other areas. We still remain one of the lowest, the lower affected communities in Bergen County, and that's due to the vigilance of everyone. And I know we've all worked together. We're in it together, wearing masks, social distancing, and following the guidelines. So on behalf of all of us, we thank you for letting us be there where we are in the lower rung. COVID testing. There is, Councilman O'Toole and I were discussing this at 6:30. There are places for testing. County of Bergen and the Bergen New Bridge Medical Center have partnered to bring regional community mobile COVID-19 testing. Residents of Allendale, Mahwah, Montvale, Saddle River, and Upper Saddle River can go to One Erie Place in Ramsey on Wednesday, September 30th, between 9 and 2:30 to get tested. This is a saliva test for those either with or without symptoms. There will also be a limited number of flu shots administered. If you want information, you can go to the borough's Facebook page, Allendale NJ Borough, for more information. Our projects, it's a busy time with the streetscape project. Amy did a wonderful job of detailing where we are with that. We have the paving project. We have Orange and Rockland System Reliability Project, and several others that we're working on. I want to take this opportunity to thank the teamwork of Ron Kistner, DPW, Chief Sherb, and the Police Department, Borough Engineer Mike Vreeland, and all of our governing body members for their outstanding collaboration to coordinate all of these things. These projects don't just happen on their own, and they require a collective effort, collective cooperation behind the scenes for these projects to run smoothly and have the least impact of the residents. And Liz said something in her report which resonated with me. We all are united in that. I mean, we're making decisions that we think are best for Allendale. We're making decisions of how to least impact the residents. So I think Liz just had that in her report. And you could speak to every council member. We don't make the decisions in a vacuum. And so all of these things, we're trying to figure out how to get the most done, how to keep it, not spend the most money, keep it affordable, and also the least impact on the residents. So thank you to everyone for their collective efforts there. This is the final week of the 2020 census. So the last day to complete the census is next Wednesday. You can go to 2020census.gov to fill it out now. We're counting on you, pun intended. The voting, I forget who spoke of voting, but we are getting calls. I was in Borough Hall today, and it seemed like every second or third call is about the voting. So it's a different year. The general election, unlike any other general election. So I know I got my ballot yesterday, so probably a lot of people did. And we're going to try to be as informative as possible and get as much information out there to answer all of your questions about you're going to get the ballot and the different ways to vote and what happens on election day, etc. So if you have questions, you can call Borough Hall. They will happily answer, but hopefully we will be ahead of that and we'll get some of that information out. Chamber of Commerce postpones 2020 Festival Day. They've made the very difficult decision to postpone 2020 Festival Day until 2021. And we're all very disappointed as they are, but we look very much forward to their 2021 event, which I'm sure will be wonderful. And we thank them for everything that they've done and their prudence when it came to this event. That's the end of my report. Mr. Wiss?
Actually, very busy 2 weeks working with Ron and Michelle on contract matters, on resolutions, some personnel matters, and OPA requests. We have talked about before, we have ongoing negotiations.
Right.
So there's been some interface with the union representative on that. And while it was mentioned, I think by Councilwoman Wilczynski, that it's an active time taking care of field issues at 220, 230. We have a lot of ancillary agreements that require being put together as part of the transaction. And a lot of those agreements are finally taking shape and reaching fruition as we move toward the October 21st hearing date before the Land Use Board.
Right, good. Thank you for that. Michelle, anything you'd like to report?
Yes, please. Thank you. As the mayor mentioned, we are getting a lot of phone calls in the clerk's office concerning the general election. And the clerk's office has notified us that all ballots for Allendale residents have gone out. So if any resident or any active registered voter in Allendale has not received their ballot by October 1st, to please contact the Bergen County Clerk's Office. We have the phone number up on our website. And I just wanted to give a huge thanks to John Gill and Tatiana Marquis for working on the comprehensive voters guide that we put together for this election. As the mayor said, there's, it's a mostly vote by mail election this time. And that's new to a lot of voters. So it has been sent out on our social media, and we're going to be putting it out through Constant Contact and just send out updates.
Right.
I just wanted to also remind everyone that Tuesday, October 13th is the deadline to register to vote. You can apply online at njelections.org, or the clerk's office will be open until 9 p.m. on October 13th to accept paper registration forms. And just for the next meeting, we haven't played this game in about 6 months or so. We're going to play the guess how many Oprah requests the clerk's office has received.
Oh, game.
So start, thinking about what number.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very
Nobody's
much.
going to change that law. I hope it's in my lifetime.
Right. No, thank you.
Terrible.
Alyssa, anything you'd like to report?
Yeah.
Great.
But the final tax bills were sent to the post office yesterday.
Oh, good.
Everybody should be looking for them. And the due November 1st. And we have a grace period until November 10th. So if it's paid after November 10th, interest reverts back to November 1st.
Okay. Good. So if anyone could not hear that, final tax bills sent to the post office to be mailed out. Fourth quarter due November 1st, grace period till November 10th. Don't blame me, blame Lissa for that. That was her report. Just kidding.
Good alert.
All right, good, thank you. Okay, public comment. So the final time for tonight, open the floor to public on any matter. Kristen.
Well, sorry, I have one more follow-up question. Kristen Sarnas, 74 Heights Road. Amy, this was for you on something you mentioned regarding the streetscape project. It sounds like you're getting a little feedback that maybe it's not good timing or something to do this project.
Yeah,
But,
I went on 07401.
oh, is that what it is? Okay. Well, you did say that if we don't get it done in time, we're going to lose the grant. How much
Yeah.
more time do we have? Or do we have enough time, or are we in danger of losing
No,
it?
we're not. So we actually were supposed to start at least 4 weeks ago, and they give you like some type of a deadline. And all grants actually do have that, and some are more flexible than others. Like Bergen County, for example, you know, if you can't get it done, you can actually go and get an extension. The DOT apparently is a little bit more inflexible. So they want you to at least have it started. So that's why we really had to get it started. So we really were on track to have it started, I think, like even a month and a half ago. So it was the middle of COVID. So we had that as a good excuse. But then we had our downtown, you know, that was opening up for our restaurants. So we were supposed to start at that one time. So we really were pushing it and pushing it. And we just did not want to push it any further. So I don't really have the exact numbers, but we're okay now. But we just didn't want to push it any further, that we would lose some of the money.
Okay. So it's mostly important that we got it started. It's not like all of a sudden the taxpayers are going to be picking up $600,000 of a curbing, streetscaping thing.
No. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
we were awarded it, but we just, you know, you don't want to abuse it, and you never know. It's the state, so they can, you know, so we just wanted to make sure that we're within their guidelines. So
Great. Thank you.
but it'll be it's going to be a positive project. But the reason I said that is because I know we're all suffering from COVID, and our merchants are. So we're really trying our hardest to make sure that we can make sure that our merchants have access to their stores, and people have access to their store. I'm sorry, people have access to the merchant stores, and we're going to be keeping an update as much as we possibly can.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're
Great,
welcome.
and just to add to that, Michelle had advised me that it has been confirmed that the money is there, it's frozen, it's earmarked for us. So we're not in a position, Kristen, to your concern, that we're laying out the money and then, you know, somehow we'll get stuck paying for it. The money is there for us.
That's great. Thank you.
Good. So that's been confirmed. Thank you for that. It was a good question. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Not seeing anyone, I will request a motion to adjourn the regular session.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, Liz. Second,
Second.
Amy. Thank you, Amy. All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
Everyone, this concludes our regular session meeting. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Jim.